Hello, I am Rudy Productions, aka Dustin, and here with me on this special episode of Trackplan Banter is my guest, JD145.
Hi, I'm JD145, aka Jake.
I should mention that it is my birthday, so very special episode today, despite the fact we're not doing anything birthday related. But this episode, we will be talking about cranes. There are a lot of interesting cranes in Wooden Railway.
Indeed there are.
I keep on forgetting to do this. Kind of introducing the build style of each of us in the beginning, so people have context. I have a pseudo-realistic building style, which just means, I try and have, from a visual standpoint, it looks like your, typical crazy wooden railway layout, tracks crisscrossing, junctions everywhere. But for someone who actually understands how the tracks are laid out, there is a defined main line and branch lines. Every track has a purpose from a operations standpoint, but yeah. So, what's your building style like?
Yeah, actually, I haven't built a layout in like a long time. But yeah, I do actually frequently build sets because I do quite a bit of filming for the for classic series creations. Shameless plug, check them out.
You should check them out. It's a crime that I am not subscribed to that channel right now.
But anyway, yeah, generally when I'm doing stuff when I'm building sets, I usually try to replicate the set as well as I can. Like, I will take some liberties with it, but like more often than not, I'll take bases off like the TV series images I can find on the wiki and stuff.
Right. Awesome then. To jump into our proper crane discussion, I think it would be a crime if we started out with anything other than Cranky.
Yes, the classic crane.
Cranky has obviously went through multiple renditions throughout the years. There's gray Crankies, there's green Crankies, there's Crankies with the classic magnet, there's Crankies with that, like, big actual magnet-looking magnet, and then there's fat Crankies, otherwise known as the deluxe Cranky the Crane.
Yeah.
And then there's talking Crankies.
Oh yes, I forgot about those.
I guess. Let's just go through each of these renditions and talk about their merit as something that exists. No, we are not talking about wood Cranky, just because, it's wood.
Yeah.
That's kind of all that has to be said about it. So, of course, there's like the original gray and black Cranky. And one tends to forget that most of the gray on this thing isn't actually Cranky.
Yeah.
It is the space between Cranky.
Yeah, I remember like the longest time, like it took me a while to realize. I think part of it also is because the stuff that's actually Cranky is like this weird dark black instead of like, being gray like the head.
Yeah, he has a gray head, which is already not accurate. And then the body of the crane is black, and then the space between it is gray.
I think this is definitely a reason why a lot of people use a Bachmann Cranky instead of the wooden railway one.
But at the same time, like, I'm kind of attached to the wooden railway shape, just nostalgically.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely, like...
Now, of course, my Cranky is the 2005 one, which actually has, like, the accurate color palette. And at least here, it's kind of more obvious that the gray is just the in-between stuff. But it is because, like, the green just pops out a bit more on the gray.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I own the gray one that has the black supports.
Yeah, 2005 Cranky is probably my favorite Cranky design. The 2013 is fine, but I think the green is too green. And I'm attached to the classic wooden railway magnet design for the cranes.
Yeah, I will admit, I don't like the bigger one, the bigger magnet design as much.
I don't like it, but at the same time, I got to acknowledge that it looks like an actual magnet on cranes. Like, cranes having magnets on them is not unrealistic, and that magnet looks like a proper industrial magnet. But at the same time, I'm so attached to the classic design that it's like, well, screw realism. But if we wanted proper realism, it would be a hook.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could imagine Cranky having some sort of magnet attachment, and it would look like the one on the 2013 design, roughly.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that... I like to call it the brave little toaster design.
And Cranky, he just completes any harbor scene.
Oh yeah, no, like, most definitely.
Which is funny, because back as a kid, he just was my harbor scene. There was nothing else. It was just Cranky and whatever track was at Cranky.
Yeah, like, You know, you have a Cranky, you have Salty there.
Yeah.
Ooh, perfect dockyard set.
I have Cranky next to one straight stretch of track, and I put Salty there. Therefore, it is the docks.
It's the best docks in the world.
I will say, I love using Cranky, theoretically speaking, using Cranky in conjunction with, like, the boat dock and those cargo bins that Mattel introduced. The cargo bins were, like, the most brilliant move that Mattel made.
Not a very high bar there, though.
I mean, there are tons of good things that came from Mattel. Also tons of crappy things.
Yeah, I know they definitely did a lot. They definitely had a lot of good ideas, I will say.
Yeah, but I loved the cargo bins. It's so simple. It is the most wooden railway thing.
Oh, yeah,
it is
like,
just
no,
a
most
bin
definitely.
to put cargo in.
I remember when I got bullshit, like, that was the best thing ever, because, like, now my dock set had, like, a boat.
Yeah.
Just, that could hold cargo. It was awesome.
I still don't have boats. Yeah, I just have cranes. But using Cranky in conjunction with items like the boat dock, the cargo bins, and the three-way parallel switches are probably brilliant for dock sets.
Yeah, I didn't have three-way switches, so I had to settle for two-way switches.
Yeah, I don't have any three-way switches myself as well, but I've seen a lot of ideas, and just having all the tracks around the docks is definitely brilliant. Let's stay in the realm of standard gauge harbor stuff. Let's talk about the Sodor cargo crane, because that's probably the second most iconic crane, and it's been through a lot of variants.
Yeah.
Just about everyone has a different one. We have the 1997, the 2001, and 2002 technically, but it's really just the 2001 with traction rail instead of clickety-clack. But still, they're technically different variants. I have the 1997 version, and gosh, I love that thing. For one, it's just built-in, interesting track work. My favorite locations are the ones that have tracks built into them. And the cargo crane is nothing like groundbreaking, but at the same time, it's more interesting than a piece of track,
Yeah.
which is more than one can say about most cranes.
Yeah, we'll admit though, well, I never owned this item. I personally would probably use it in, like, sort of a wharf-like scenario, like just have a section, like one track is narrow gauge, the other is standard gauge.
That is interesting. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, that's how I always thought it could be used, like, in a cool way.
Yeah, and I could imagine, like, you know, so you have your harbor right next to the crane, and then you have your two tracks running under the crane, and then beside the crane you have your road, or at least some sort of parking lot area.
Yeah, so, like, you can fill up stuff like the Crosby cargo truck.
Whether you actually, like, place road there is not really important. It's just from your perception or your imagination,
An idea.
this is an area where vehicles pull up alongside the crane. You've just doubled the range of that crane. Before, it was just transferring between two tracks. Now it's like, okay, you can take stuff from the boat to the train, or from the boat to the truck, from the truck to the train.
Yeah, there's quite a lot you can do with this crane. It's a very versatile piece.
There are definitely a lot of interesting ways it can be used. We also have the Brendam fishing dock, which I kind of hate that it's called the Brendam fishing dock. If they called it just the fishing dock, it could be a fishing village location. So it's a shame that they literally put Brendam on it, because if it says where the destination is supposed to be located, either on the packaging or on the item itself, then I'm going to put it at that location.
I've always been a bit more freeform with it. Like, I've always been a bit more easygoing with it. Like,
Yeah.
where I play stuff. Like, so long as I can kind of cover up the name somehow, then I'm cool with, like, wherever it goes.
I used to be that way, and the fishing dock, it does have the name. It's in a way where you could hide it away in a corner and get away with it. One could put that at, like, Kirkronan, or Norrumby, or Harwick, or Arlesborough, or Knapford. You could put it at the wharf, and it'd probably be fine. Of course, this is just my opinions. People who don't have a problem with the name Brendam Bay Fishery popping up at Kirkronan, of course they can put it wherever they want.
It could also just be, like, a business type thing where, like, that's just the name of the business.
Yeah, it could be like an Arlesdale Barrel Company situation, where this is a business where their main office is located in this town, but they have stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's like KFC.
But also, the look of this destination makes that a bit fishy for me. This is just a crane located in a fishing area. But, again, it's not the end of the world. I'm not the authority on how to build a layout. I'm just giving my opinion. You know, I'm ultimately nitpicking here when I say I have problems with it. But in any case, we'll move on to the rolling gantry crane.
This is such a cool set piece. I've not
I
been able
wish
to
I had it.
Yeah, I've not been able to integrate it into a set because like I haven't built a dock set yet. But like when I do, this thing is definitely going in there. It's such a beautiful item.
It looks so nice. It's the perfect balance between using wood when possible and plastic when necessary.
Yeah.
I can't tell if the cab of the crane is wood or not.
I believe the cab is made out of wood while the hook part on top is made out of plastic.
Yeah, I could tell that the hook was made out of plastic, which completely expected. But yeah, it's such a nice looking piece. And there are some interesting things that you could do with it. One of them might involve butchering some track. However, you know, if you have spare track lying around, I'm thinking like off-brand stuff, not Wooden Railway, but like Brio or just like the cheap stuff that literally any store that sells Thomas Wooden Railway sells.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about the actual connectors if you do it with multiple pieces, but you know, those wheels, they fit in the grooves of Wooden Railway.
Yeah.
So if one would literally split a piece of track in half and create rails for this item.
Personally, I've had that thought cross my mind because I was making a Beresford once.
Yeah. Of course, that's completely unnecessary. You know, just having it roll on the ground is nice too. But that adds just an extra level of realism to it. Which I think is great. You have your options. And now I see these red levers along the side.
I believe those are for braking.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to be mobile or immobile.
That is cool. That's awesome. That's more realism than it has any right to have. I know I always loved seeing this in the catalogs, and then it kind of slipped under my radar, and now I love it all over again.
Yeah, I looked out and I scored this in like a lot on eBay for like $30 or something, and yeah, I gotta say this is one of my favorite pieces that I own.
Yeah, because it's so awesome, it's so realistic, and again, it just exemplifies that it's simple, yet it has a lot of playability in it, while not being all too gimmicky.
Yeah, no, that's the cool thing about this craze. Like, you can really put it like just about anywhere on your, like, on a dock set. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think we've gone through with all of the important harbor cranes.
Yeah.
I think it is time to move on to Colin.
Everyone's favorite Season 12 crane.
I don't know what to say about Colin. He's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't own a Colin, unfortunately. You know, it's definitely nice just to have some more cranes that are also characters.
Yeah, you can at least set up kind of a wharf set with them.
Yeah, I think what I need to really say something about Colin is to talk about the wharf. Because the wharf, this is one of the places where I haven't figured out what I'm going to do about it as far as my map. So the wharf in the Railway series is just the transfer area between the Skarloey Railway and the main line. Obviously, it's not located at that wharf. And I don't think I'd want him to be. I am not above rewriting TV series characters, but I like the wharf. The wharf is cool. It's nice for the Skarloey Railway engines to actually have a harbor to go to. So I'd almost wonder if the wharf was located up near like a large lake in the northern portion of Sodor. So, you know, you would have these large lakes and it's river barges coming in and out of the wharf.
Yeah, no, I imagine it'd be smaller barges, probably.
Yeah, if it were like upriver barges, and then these barges were taken down to the bigger harbors to then be transferred into the bigger ships, that feels a lot more realistic to me.
Honestly, something cool you could really do is you could put some more factories there. Like, Wooden Railway does have quite a few. Like, the paint factory.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point, is that a lot of these Brendam industries, they're not necessarily unrealistic. It's just that most of them would be located in a big yard. So now that all being said, let's talk about the old Wheezy logging crane.
Yeah, really, like, I do have a few ideas on it. Like, again, yeah, if you ever want to build a Misty Island layout, you can. But, like, if you wanted to maybe build, like, sort of a logging line, like, your own custom one.
Yeah.
Another cool thing you could actually do is, I believe the way it separates is that unlike a character like Cranky who's attached by a string, you can actually separate the top of Old Wheezy from the base. So you could, like, use it as kind of, like, an abandoned area or something.
Right. Not, you don't even have to, like, only have one Ol Weezy. Get a few Ol Weezys. Ol Weezy doesn't have a face. It can just be an old, rugged crane in a logging area.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Merrick. There's just so much that you can do with the whole Blue Mountain Quarry concept. So, I imagine with Merrick, so in the set that he comes in, there's of course this incline piece, then there's the tunnel that goes under it, and then there's the section of, there's a space between his support and the incline piece.
Yeah.
So I imagine right at the entrance to the mine tunnel, one could put a crossing, and what one could do is that the incline piece and the piece going under Merrick could be narrow gauge, and the track going through the mine tunnel perpendicular to both of those could be standard gauge.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Another thing I've seen actually is that I believe Enterprising Engine did this. You can actually remove Merrick from the base thing. Like, you need to use a screwdriver, obviously, but then you can set him up wherever.
Yeah, you could definitely do that too. If one is willing to, quote-unquote, butcher an item, you know, it might not be permanently, but still, just, you know, take it apart and modify it. The sky's the limit at that point. And, I mean, that's really the only layout idea that I can think of, other than, you know, after coming up that incline, having something more interesting than it just going back down.
Yeah, like, build some track up there. If you have enough risers, obviously.
Maybe have, like, a short span where it 2 risers high. And I imagine, like, this is only, like, 2 risers. You just have 2 sets of straight track. But then, after those 2 sets, it hooks up to, like, the Rheneas and the roller coaster spiral. I think that's an interesting way of doing it. And you don't even have to have it set up like the spiral. We've seen situations where it can just be used to gradually bring track down. So maybe you do something like that. You find interesting ways to integrate these destinations. And I know the one set that comes to mind is like the deluxe quarry set, I think it is, where it kind of has a half spiral piece.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So yeah, it kind of has this like half spiral section where it comes down from a 2 riser high down to a 1 riser high. And you know what? I forgot about the wharf set. Or, no, it's a transfer yard set. They have that repaint of the tool booth bridge, but with a crane on top of it instead of the tool booth. I guess it's not really a repaint, it's a retool. They kind of just replaced the toll booth area with the crane. And again, as far as, like, transfer yard, like, stuff, that could work really well. You know, have one track as... Actually, despite the fact that they have this used as a piece of track in the set, it actually has the road on it. So, you know, it's a nice transfer area between rail and road, if you want it to be.
Oh, yeah, another... bringing that up, there's actually another one. I don't think we covered it yet,
Yeah, the cargo transfer. I don't really have too much to say about it, other than it's nice for a yard population area. If you want to have...
Yard, docks, really anywhere, like, it's a nice set.
You can
go anywhere.
You know, if you wanted to set up, like, a transfer area between the railway and a, like, trucking company, that would be perfect for that. So, just... There's so many possibilities. It's almost... There's almost so much, it's impossible to talk about it. But with all that being said, I think we've done the best possible job we can at covering cranes.
Yeah.
With all that said, I think we've covered our piece on cranes. So, thank you all for coming to this episode, the first episode of 2021. Forgot to mention that. I mentioned that it was my birthday, but I didn't mention that this... Not recording date. Upload date. It should be my birthday. But I never mentioned this was the first episode of 2021. So, all that being said, This has been Rudy Productions, aka Dustin.
This has been JD145, aka Jake.
And thank you all for coming, everybody.
See you next time.
See ya.